Hi, I'm Brendan Moore, producer of the Black Futurist podcast and the upcoming show, Inventing Tomorrow. These are my best in show recap moments from CES 2024. One of the ongoing themes of CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, is mobility. This year was no different. There were some surprising items though. What you're seeing here, Bugatti released a scooter. As well, Reebok released bikes and scooters. Little strange to me in the timing and in the placement, because neither one of these companies are really known for that item. As well, this year, Bird Scooters went from a $2.5 billion valuation to filing bankruptcy. So a bit strange, but this is what we saw at CES 2024. I just wonder how much of a heads up was needed in order to develop these products. And after the decision was made to go in this direction, did we start seeing a downturn in the marketplace? One place I know we're going as a society that you might not be hearing that much about yet, but you will, is vCommerce. You've all heard of e-commerce. That's electronic commerce. It means you can go online and buy your favorite things and they'll send them to your house. But what is vCommerce? vCommerce is virtual commerce, and that's shown best by the vendor Lotte, who has demonstrated at CES their vCommerce platform. What does it look like? It looks like your favorite video game, where you create an avatar of yourself. You also use your LiDAR-enabled phone to create a 3D model of your home and other environments. Then using either PC or even maybe game console or your phone, you can maneuver your avatar through environments, try things on your avatar, and then also buy things like furniture and try them out in your space. In vCommerce, those items are delivered to you both digitally and shipped to your house in real life. So what does this couch look like in my real space? We'll know because we've created a 3D model. The other thing that we're seeing in the vCommerce space from vendors like Lotte is the ability to create 3D models of your existing products. So say you're a shoe manufacturer, you can easily take your phone and using one of many softwares, create a 3D model of your product, which will be delivered to customers digitally for their avatars, as well as in our own homes in real life. vCommerce is on its way. Another common theme we'll always see at CES are screens. There's definitely a war of the screens, and you'll see all the major manufacturers represented. There's some very cool things, and what we know at CES often is what we see won't be available to consumers for the next year or so. So it's nice going year after year because you can see the progression of things that go from kind of the obscure phase and they move over to here's what was obscure last year but is coming to market this year. So last year, CES 2023, there's one display at TCL of this very large, very fast television screen. And my friend Dwayne Meekins, who joined me that year, fell in love with this screen. He's a gamer, and to have a screen that large and that fast was just mind-blowing to him. Well, this year, in that same space, they did something better and bigger, and they moved the whole conversation forward. They have a 163-inch micro LED TV, which is huge and also very fast. 120 hertz response rate, 10 microsecond pixel rate. But aside from being big and fast, this year, the screen is modular, which means it comes in smaller blocks that can mount together to fit any size of space that you have, custom for your house or for your commercial installation. It also makes delivery and installation much easier. Who wants to move a 163-inch television that is very fragile? Any slight bend is going to be a problem. Intermodular televisions, pretty cool. One of the tours I gave while at CES was called The Implications of AI. You may think that that's an easy tour to give. It's actually a really difficult tour to give because AI, unlike a vertical, like screens we talked about, is a horizontal layer that's across every technology at a conference like CES. You almost can't bring your wares to the marketplace without saying how your service impacts the customer using AI. It's incredible. Very hard to do. This company, Nuralogix, is doing something very cool with AI. The key to AI is, in most cases, the data set. Can I train this software to recognize patterns, to generate based on the data that I've given it before, and to even project or predict what we are seeing and what the outcome means based on the data that we're seeing in this particular measurement that we're doing. Nuralogix has taken a tool that we've already got in our pockets, our cell phone, and trained it for medical purposes. Their tagline is, take a selfie to greater healthy. They do a 30-second video scan of your face, and they're scanning the blood flows in your eyes and different parts of your face. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you what else they're scanning, but they use that to give you information about your underlying health. They can track your heart rate, your respiration rate, your blood pressure, and many, many other things, and even like your effective age based on your skin. Interesting thing about this particular stop on my tour was at one point I had 7 physicians on my tour, and one of them was already aware of the software and was using it with his colleagues in Switzerland and was very happy with the outcomes they were getting. Pretty cool. Not much to show you here, but I can give you the concept. Ask yourself 5 years ago, if you were at a park or a swimming pool, if you could order a pizza. The answer is no, because in order to deliver a pizza to you, they want an address. They want to know reliably that they can find their end customer. Well, this company, What 3 Words, has changed that. So now if you pay attention to the pizza delivery commercials, you can order delivery anywhere in the world within the service area. So I can order a pizza to the pool. I can order it to a certain bench at the park. And that's because this company, What 3 Words, has mapped the entire world in 10-foot by 10-foot squares and given each one a very easy to communicate name that's based on 3 computer-generated words. So I can tell you exactly where I want my pizza or where I want you to pick me up for rideshare. And that's a pretty cool concept that's already in the world, that's already making an impact. You can't go to Las Vegas without noticing that the experience is completely different than it was just a few years ago, for 2 reasons. Number one, the football stadium is big and beautiful and full of screens on the outside. So be careful when you're driving, because you may be tempted to look off and see what the upcoming games are or the upcoming concerts. The second reason is because the thing I call the Death Star, the MSG Sphere, with its 8K spherical content inside and out, is fully operational. So I just want to show you this and say, this is something to pay attention to. You can get a ticket to a show or just take a look at all the creative content they're doing on the outside and appreciate what's to come. We go to the Consumer Electronics Show and we see a bunch of innovation, what's brand new in automotive, what's brand new in apps, what's brand new in hardware. At the end of the day, to me, all that stuff comes down to people. How does this impact our lives? So this particular offering is a big deal, and they passed my test, the challenge test. So it's Time Kettle. Time Kettle is a hardware and software solution for translation, where they have a device that has ear pods that you pop into one person, and the other conversationalist gets an ear pod as well. You select which languages I'm translating from and to, and those people can have a real-time conversation. Sound like a great idea, but I also had to ask, how is this any different than what I'm already doing with my phone and apps like Google Translate? And that's when everything got way better. The young lady who was explaining to us said, when you're doing translation between 2 people using the app on your phone, you are phone centric. I have to talk like this, then you have to talk like that, and we have to stay around this phone. But with their app and their hardware, you are freed geographically, meaning Bluetooth range now becomes the range at which I can talk to you. So if I put this device down in our office or at the cafe, we don't have to center around a device anymore. We can exist in the world, but it gets better than that. You can also use it for remote meetings. You can have multiple people talking multiple languages participating in the same meeting. It reminds me of those old images of the United Nations where everybody sits around with the headphones on and they're hearing their translation of what's happening on stage in their ear. Those are done by people. Now it can be done by technology, and you don't have to sit at the desk with those certain headphones on. So Shenzhen Time Kettle, it's looking good. Blueskeye AI is another of my top takeaways from CES 2024. Oftentimes on the show, I'm talking with scientists or engineers, PhDs, medical doctors, and we're talking about science, and sometimes we're talking about engineering. And we're very clear to parse those 2 things. These guys are clearly engineering. They took an existing technology, which is facial recognition software that we've seen used in law enforcement and a ton of other ways. And they found a way to use it for their specific purposes. Instead of just recognizing a person's face, we want to recognize what they're doing with their face, meaning how are the muscles moving? What expression are they making? What does this expression mean? So they had to train their AI model, and they did it on different use cases as well as different populations, one of which was pregnant women. Take a bunch of pregnant women, track them through their pregnancy, and figure out what do their expressions mean in terms of their pregnancy, in terms of their health, in terms of their mood. Also, train it on drivers. Now, if I'm watching your facial expression change with different moods or occurrences outside of the car or occurrences inside the car, I can now send information to your driver's assistant, meaning how much driver's assistance do you get from your car to stay in the lane or anything like that when something's happening with you. What if you're having a medical issue? What if you're getting distracted because your kids are in the back and you turn around? This is a pretty cool application of an existing tech to solve some real world problems. And another vertical of data that they used was in diabetics to say, can we predict when something's happening or going to happen to you so that we can shorten the time between occurrence and response? And I think that's pretty awesome. Years ago, I read that Bill Gates was talking about technologies that would change the world. And by that time, we already had smartphones. And he said, the next generation of the smartphone is not going to change the world. But what will change the world is the flip phone, which means the old original flip phone. How is that even possible? It's because at the time, there were areas of the world where communication was just notoriously bad. So having a higher resolution camera or be able to take more pictures or more apps on your phone wasn't going to change life for those people. But there are so many people in these very rural areas that if they got the opportunity to simply communicate with someone who's not there, be it medical or government or family, that would change drastically their experience. Why do I bring this up? Because one of my number one moments at CES wasn't the next high-flying tech. As a matter of fact, it was something solving a very simple lo-fi problem. As we age, our radius gets smaller, and that's because of our mobility. Sometimes our eyesight fails, sometimes our hearing fails. So this company, Luxottica, who is responsible for 70% of the prescription eyeglasses around the world via their multiple brands, many of which you know, has decided we're going to take hearing assistance and put it into our existing eyeglasses invisibly. So now, if you have a hearing issue, but you are either price prohibited from getting a medical hearing device, or maybe you have a sense of pride and say, I don't want to yet have a visible hearing assistance put on my head or on my ears, these glasses, along with its software on the app, will allow you, basically what you see is what you hear. It gives you assisted hearing with no visible device. It's glasses. It looks like great glasses. They can do everything that your regular glasses do, all the coatings, all the different lens types, everything. And if you so choose, you can either hear more of the room or you can hear what's in front of you up to about 10 feet. Every time I put these glasses on someone at CES, their face lit up because they realize, oh, wow, this really works. And I didn't realize how much help I needed actually hearing in this moment. Very cool, and I think it'll do a lot for our society. SmartSound is a company that is using AI and hardware to solve some pretty cool medical issues for us. They create stethoscopes, starting with the very high-end clinical stethoscope that is supposed to be even better than what doctors are using today. And it's got AI plugged in to help doctors recognize different things that it's hearing, all the way down to consumer level that you can do at home and say, hey, I do hear and I can monitor and I can record XYZ via stethoscope at home. But they also created stethoscopes for pets. And they train the AI model to recognize health conditions in pets. Why is this important? Number one, Americans love their pets. They probably do all around the world. I'm just talking about Americans. But also, oftentimes, we don't get medical assistance for our pets until something is an emergent issue. And now, with their stethoscope that is programmed with AI to hear and recognize respiratory and heart conditions in our dogs, once again, you can lessen the time between occurrence and treatment of an issue. So we get a better picture of what's going on with our animals much earlier. So pretty cool. SmartSound is the technology, and their technology is called With a Pet. Last year, one of my number one really enjoyable exhibitors from CES was a company called HyperVsn. And I'd met their guy who was setting them up the night before the show opened. His name was Igor. He's like 7 foot tall European dude who was just really explaining in a before the show, behind the scenes fashion to me how it all worked. It's fan blades with LEDs on them to produce photoreal hologram-like images. You can see through them, but they're photoreal, so they look fantastic. One of the cool things about this year was, based on their success and their sales from last year, many of the exhibitors who are there to show their own technologies are using HyperVsn signs in front of their own displays now. And I saw it at the mall as well, so that's pretty cool. I'm also maybe a little less bullish on HyperVsn because of this one thing, and that is it doesn't photograph well. The experience in person is great, but as soon as you pull out your camera, you gotta have the correct frame rate, and then even still, you may still see the camera itself is picking up kind of the choppiness of the image that your eye is not picking up. So that's one thing I'd love to see them solve, is in this environment where we all are so quick to pull out our phones, AKA our 4K 60 frames per second cameras to capture experiences and share them. HyperVsn doesn't really share well that way. That being the case, still very cool tech. If you see it somewhere in the world, I'd love to hear what you think. We've talked a lot about the metaverse over the years. We've also got movies like Ready Player One that shares what that idea looks like. And so we've seen companies as well at CES trying to bridge the gap between what we imagine and what's possible today. One of those companies is Haptic, which allows you to put on a haptic suit, very similar to what the guy had in Ready Player One, so that when something happens in the metaverse world, in the gaming world, I feel it as the player. And now another company, Razer, has entered the marketplace with their haptic seat that has 8 or 10 different areas on it. And so if you're playing a game, it can give you feedback that's programmed by what's happening in the game. If I'm landing a plane and it's turbulent, I might shake the butt. And if I am playing a boxing game and I get hit, maybe I feel it in my chair here. It just looked like another way to try to connect the dots between what's happening in our digital experience as well as our physical experience. I did not expect to like this company's offering as much as I did. And I probably wouldn't have known that I liked it as much unless I used the power of, on these tours at CES, I hold a microphone and all the people who are with me on tours have on headphones. And there's some amount of power and leverage that comes with being the person who shows up, talking to 10, 15 people and bringing them all at once versus showing up as a single person. So I did that at this company. And that allowed me to get back to the VIP section where I could more easily explain and learn what their offering was. The company's called XReal. Their offering at CES was two things. Number one, their glasses, VR glasses or mixed reality glasses, and they're aiming to compete with Apple, who has already told us that they're allowing consumers to try on their gadgets this month. So not only were they incredible, and they put me into a space where I really was able to interface with all my computing things, digital screens and movies all in one room, but I also could see my hand and it was tracking my hand. So I could physically interact with things with my hand with no additional device. That was cool. Then they showed me a little side note that wasn't part of their main deal, but the gentleman who explained it to me was saying, we developed these, which were these 3 multicolored, they look like QR codes, but they had a sliding magnet. And as you slid the magnet or spun the magnet, the pattern that's being seen by the glasses is changing. And so once the pattern changes from pattern A to pattern B, because I manipulated the device, that means the digital representation of an object would change. Let me explain that so simply. I pick up the thing and I turn the knob on it. The glasses is recognizing that it's no longer in position 1, it's in position 2. But when I look at my hand through the glasses, I'm holding a scorpion. And if I turn it, now I'm holding a frog. And if I turn it again, now I'm holding an egg. It was incredible. There was also ones that was 3 position and one that was a 2 position switch. And if I move the 2 position switch from position 1 to position 2, that's basically on versus off. And I can say, put me in dark mode or light mode or work mode versus entertainment mode. Anything can be programmed. That was also cool. But wait, there's more. At the end, the guy showed me now they have a partnership with BMW. One of the issues we've been talking about for years is augmented and mixed reality really possible in a windshield? And no matter what they tell you, the answer has been no. But with the glasses, they were able to put not only items, digital items inside the car, but also in the path of the car. So you can do navigation now because you have the glasses and the windshield and space in the car to really start to give you more points of digital insertion. And it was the solution we've been looking for and didn't know. is fantastic. So look out for XReal and their partnership with BMW. See if you can find the demo online. It was incredible. This may be my number one favorite item at CES 2024. It's my favorite because it was a 2-year setup. Last year, LG showed up. They always show up. I told you screens are a big deal. They show up, and one of their offerings are transparent screens. Their big offering was wireless screens, which means except for the power, you didn't have to have any plugins to your screen. It could be remote, and all the plugins go into another box. It's all right. It's cool. Saves you some space. But off to the side, they showed this transparent screen, and I didn't understand it because it didn't make sense last year. Why do I need my television to be transparent? And it was controllable. You can say, I want it transparent, and now I don't want it transparent. So it gave me the option back and forth. It did not make sense unless you were like some type of neat freak that required that your space, when you turn your TV off, look so clean that you would like to be able to see through the television. It seemed frivolous. But this year, they explained why. They showed us what's called Life's Good Cafe. And that is a imaginary bakery. The bakery was set up as such that you can look through the glass and you can look at all the cakes and the pies and the donuts and things you might want. But that glass is actually a TV screen that is transparent. And so they can program the screens to highlight what's behind them and that you can see through, and they can call attention to things in a colorful, high definition way. And it looked awesome. It was absolutely incredible. So take a look at this demo. It's just one idea of what you can do in the commercial setting with these transparent screens. And again, it's probably my number one revelation at CES 2024.